Welcome to this deep dive. And before we even get into the material today, I just want to pause and look right at you, our listener.
Yeah,
I want to warmly offer a divine blessing for your day and really for your whole week ahead. May you find purpose and peace and solid grounding in whatever you're doing right now.
absolutely. It is so good to be here with you,
It is, and we have a phenomenal topic today. We are doing a very close examination of Exodus chapter 19.
which is, it's a massive turning point.
It really is. And for our sources today, we are pulling from the detailed theological and historical study notes from both the Holman and the NAA Study Bibles.
Two excellent, very thorough resources.
Right. And our mission for this deep dive is to really explore the raw, awe-inspiring mechanics of an ancient covenant. We want to look at what it actually looked like, on the ground to encounter the divine.
In a political context.
Yes, the surprising ancient political context behind it all. It changes everything when you see it. Okay, let's unpack this. Set the historical stage for us. Where are we?
Well, looking at the timeline from the sources, it's the third month.
Right.
The third month after the Israelites made that incredible dramatic exit from Egypt. And they have just arrived at the base of Mount Sinai.
Just setting up camp in the desert.
Exactly. But there is a really fascinating detail in the NAA study notes here. That arrival timing. It's an aha moment. It coincides perfectly with what would later become the Festival of Weeks.
Which is Pentecost.
Yes,
Yeah.
Pentecost. The timing is completely deliberate.
That is wild to think about. So they arrive at Sinai, and this encounter that happens next, it isn't just a spiritual retreat. Reading through it, it reads like a legal document.
It absolutely does.
Mhm.
The Holman notes go into great detail about this. It follows a very specific format called a suzerain-vassal treaty.
Suzerain vassal.
Right. It's an ancient political structure. You
Right.
basically have a highly powerful king, an emperor type.
It's suzerain.
The suzerain, exactly.
Yeah.
And he makes a formal pact with a lesser people, the vassal, often a people he has just rescued or conquered.
So it's not just arbitrary religious rules, it's diplomatic language they would have instantly recognized.
They would have known exactly what was happening. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, you see something beautiful. God's salvation came before the rules.
Yes.
He didn't demand obedience from them in Egypt to earn their rescue. He rescued them first, completely free of charge. Then, from a place of freedom, he offered the covenant.
That completely flips the script on how people usually view this. And I love the poetic imagery the text uses here. God talks about carrying them on eagle's wings.
Yeah, that's not just a pretty metaphor. In the ancient world, eagle's wings signified incredible speed and protection.
Because of how they carried their young.
Exactly. It was believed eagles carry their young on their backs. So any attack from below would have to go through the fiercely protective parent first. It is a stark contrast to their time as slaves, where they were completely unprotected.
They were totally vulnerable. And now they are being carried by the ultimate power. Here's where it gets really interesting, though. There's this specific phrase where God calls the people his treasured possession.
Oh, the Hebrew word there is amazing.
Right, let's do a linguistic deep dive on that.
So the word is segula. And according to the study notes, ancient kings used this exact word in extra-biblical texts.
To mean what exactly?
It described their private, royal stash of wealth, their personal gold, the jewels they kept just for themselves, separate from the national treasury.
So, translate this for our listener. Imagine a king looking at a group of traumatized, dusty former slaves and declaring, "You are my crown jewels."
Unbelievable.
It is a radical shift in their identity. Their value goes from literal disposable property in Egypt to the private treasure of the divine king.
But that status had a job attached to it. They were called to be a kingdom of priests.
Which means they weren't supposed to just keep it to themselves.
Right. As a kingdom of priests, they had a function. Priests act as mediators.
The middleman.
Precisely. Their job was to represent God to all the other nations of the world. They were blessed to be a blessing.
And the sources point out this is echoed later in the New Testament, right?
Yes, specifically in 1 Peter 2.9. That exact concept of a royal priesthood and a special possession is carried forward.
So they have this incredible new identity, but practically speaking, how do you prepare to meet the creator of the universe?
You don't just walk up to the mountain in your sandals.
No. The sources reveal a strict 3-day preparation period, and one of the main things is washing their clothes.
Which, in a desert, is a huge deal. Water is scarce.
Right.
But washing clothes isn't just about hygiene here. It is a profound psychological and physical shift. You are leaving the mundane, everyday survival life of the desert.
You are getting ready for a royal court appearance.
Exactly. You are washing off the ordinary to step into the sacred.
And then there's the instruction to abstain from sexual relations, which, we have to handle carefully. Modern readers might look at that and think sex was viewed negatively.
Right, but the Holman notes provide such crucial historical context here. It wasn't about sex being bad. It was about total, undivided focus on the divine encounter.
No distractions.
None. Furthermore, and this is key, it served as a deliberate rejection of the pagan fertility cult rituals of that time.
Because the surrounding cultures completely mixed religious worship with sexual activity.
Oh, heavily. Temple prostitution, fertility rites. God is saying, we are not doing that. This is different.
Drawing a massive line in the sand. Speaking of lines in the sand, we have to talk about the lethal boundaries placed around Mount Sinai.
Terrifying.
God literally says, if a person or an animal even touches the mountain, they will die.
And the execution details are so specific. Violators were to be stoned or shot with arrows.
Why arrows specifically?
Because the executioner couldn't cross the boundary to grab them.
Wow.
If the guard crossed the line to arrest the person, the guard would die too. They had to be dealt with from a distance. God's holiness isn't just a nice metaphor here.
No, it's lethal.
It is an intensely powerful, dangerous reality if it is approached casually, like a high-voltage power line.
And that power goes on full display during the theophany. The sensory overload described in the text is just fireworks.
It really is.
There's thunder, lightning, a thick cloud covering the mountain, a supernatural trumpet blast that just keeps going louder and louder.
Earthquake.
Yes, the whole ground shaking, smoke rising like a furnace. So what does this all mean? Why choose such a terrifying introduction?
What's fascinating here is that the mountain essentially became a temporary, massive outdoor temple.
Like the Holy of Holies.
Exactly. The smoke and fire demonstrate that God cannot be approached casually, even the priests.
The ones who normally get close.
Right. Even they are explicitly warned to consecrate themselves so God doesn't break out against them.
It's designed to instill a deep reverence.
A holy fear. You are dealing with absolute power.
It really makes you step back and look at the whole picture. Synthesizing this journey for you, our listener, we've moved through some incredible extremes today.
We really have.
We started with the gentle, protective imagery of eagle's wings, the beautiful, affirming value of being a king's segula, his private treasure.
And then moved right into the terrifying, earth-shaking reality of raw divine holiness.
Exactly. It reminds you that profound commitments, whether they are divine or even personal ones in your own life, they require immense respect.
Preparation.
Yes, preparation, and an understanding of your own unique value in that relationship.
I completely agree. And based on the source material, I actually want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to ponder.
I love this. Go ahead.
Think about Mount Sinai. It was just a regular barren rock in the middle of a desert. But the presence of God temporarily transformed it into the most sacred, heavily guarded place on earth.
Just an ordinary mountain.
Right. So if holiness isn't a fixed location, but simply wherever the divine chooses to show up, what ordinary mountains or mundane spaces in your life right now might actually be sacred ground in disguise?
What a beautiful, profound question to end on. Thank you to our listener for joining us on this deep dive. God blesses all the listeners.
See you next time.